year, on Chav Vav Tevet, the 26th of Tevet, marks the Hilula of a famous Kabbalist, Syrian rabbi. His name was Rabbi Nissim HaKohen Nadavo, Zeche Tzadik Livracha, one of the great rabbis of Syria in his time in of itself. Very, very interesting. We can highlight he would become a great Kabbalist. He would become the head of Jewish court and the chief rabbi of Dמשek. Very interesting enough, in Syria. And for many, many years. And famously, at the time when the Cohen, let's just say an Israeli spy, was unfortunately anti-Semitically going to be taken out to execution, he actually accompanied Cohen at that stage in time, which is a very, very famous incident. I would recommend everyone to look about. Let's explore some of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, I believe he was born in English year 1872 in Syria, in Dמשek, respectively. He came from great rabbinic heritage. His father's name was Rabbi Yitchak Hakohen Nadavo, a very great rabbi in of itself. While he was young, he would learn inside the yeshiva, inside that specific city in of itself. I think under the auspices of Rabbi Yosef Dana, another great rabbi we've mentioned about on various occasions before. I believe he was a head rabbi, one of the great rabbis of Dמשek in his time in Syria, and also I believe would work as rabbi in Lebanon and Haifa, respectively also. It's actually interesting. This was a yeshiva. It was a time period where there was a big, large Jewish community in of itself. It's reported that while he was young, he would study in the city's yeshiva alongside another famous rabbi, Rabbi Yitzchak Abulafia. Also, what's interesting is I think after Rabbi Abulafia had passed away, Rabbi Nadavo and Rabbi Dana were appointed to serve as judges in the local Jewish court over there, and which is very, very prominent position at that point in time, very responsible position, and they were the Dayanim, let's just say, inside the Jewish court in that area, and Rav Dana will become the rabbi of Damascus at that point in time in of itself, and they were corresponding with many, many of the great rabbis all over Syria and all over the various different countries in of itself, respectively. And I believe he also had a livelihood where he sold, for example, flour and oil, it was reported, over while he coupled that while he was working very much in the rabbinate and teaching. I believe also he prepared speeches, it was reported, for bar mitzvah children, would write amulets for the sick, and did very much in the realm of Torah, a Jewish life cycle, huge amounts of works in of itself. And very, very interesting enough. His influence, Rabbi Nadavo's influence, spread beyond the Damascus in of itself. People would send questions to him from the United States of America, from America respectively, and from Israel. And I believe he also wrote, he corresponded with a famous rabbi, Rabbi Ovadia Hodaya, another great rabbi we've mentioned about on various occasions in this series. I believe, especially within regards to, there was a great work called Yaskil Avadi, also of Rab Ovadia Hodaya. I think he would actually write something within regards to that book. And very, very interesting, especially mainly, not just in Syria. He made huge influence, I believe, in Beirut, in Lebanon, in Aleppo, as well as various different communities in influence. And he also, I believe, influenced the Arab community over there, not necessarily just the Jewish community over there. I think there was an Arab lawyer, it was reported over, was very interesting, was very, very close to him, Sa'id al-Azi, if I'm not mistaken, in of itself. He actually looked up to him and really was seen at a higher esteem by many of the people in the Syrian parliament, the minister, I think even the prime minister used to spend time to him and ask him for advice on various different issues. He used these connections, actually, interestingly enough, to improve the living conditions of the Jewish community over there very much, and help the Jewish community in matters of religion and Yahadut in Judaism in of itself. He was a great Kabbalist and was considered to be one of the last Kabbalists reported over of Damascus. He was a posek, rendering different Jewish law decisions, and the leader of, let's just say, the main Jewish community over there, I believe, in of that time in itself, adapting various different rulings, let's just say, within regards to halacha, to mitchazek people, and he brought about, I think, help within regards to the different takanot. It was at that point in time, and really strengthened the religious level of, let's just say, the community in of itself. Now, I believe, after, I think, the Six-Day War, if I'm not mistaken, that was a turbulent time at that point in time, and I think he was reported over at that point in time. He had an accident where I think he fell down the stairs, was reported over, and had to be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I think he passed away in 1972, to be precise, on December the 31st. We're talking about 53 years ago from the time of recording, naturally, on the 26th of Tevet. Interestingly enough, he left various different descendants. Also, so let's explore some of the descendants. I think among his descendants is Natan Chilo, who's quite well known apparently, and I think Dalit Bat Adam also. And what's interesting is now there's a famous case within regards to Eli Cohen, when he was anti-Semitically, he was sentenced to the death penalty, and it was reported over very much. There's a lot of chronicles recorded over within regards to, let's just say, this sad episode in of itself. And the Rabbi Nadavo was the highest Jewish authority, I think, in the country of Syria at that point in time, and actually accompanied him while his last moments, and very much reported over. I would recommend everyone to look into that. I think Rabbanit. Then afterwards, Eli Cohen's wife Nadia actually met with Rabbi Nadavo several years later to hear about her husband's final moments. At that point in time, Eli Cohen's final moments, and I think there was actually, within regards to the Israel spy in Damascus, there was a documentary on it in of itself, if I'm not mistaken. But he was one of the great rabbis of his time in Syria, one of the most famous rabbis. Among his family also included, I think his son was Yitzchak. I think he was married twice, if I'm not mistaken. So from his first wife, his son was Yitzchak, and he had daughters from his second wife, Adel, Amila, and Shafika, if I'm not mistaken. His brother was Rav Eliyahu Chaim, and his teacher was Rabbi Yitzchak Abulafia, who was author of the Torah classic called the Pnei Yitzchak. Very interesting enough. So please, everyone, don't forget to light candles in the great rabbi's memory. He was one of the most famous Syrian rabbis, without a doubt, in his specific generation in of itself, one of the most well-known rabbis. Also, I think he also corresponded with a lot of Sephardi rabbanim, and also a lot of Ashkenazi rabbanim would actually come to him asking for questions the whole time, and asking different happenings in of itself. Very interesting enough. So please don't forget to light candles in his memory. And just one more thing to report about. I think at the time when Eli Cohen was being executed, they said the Vidui prayer, if I'm not mistaken, and the Kriyat Shema at that point in time, just before this actually occurred, on those last moments in of itself. So please, everyone, light candles in memory, subscribe to the channel. We're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. And take care. Have a good Shabbat, because I'm recording this just before Shabbat Parashat Vayera.